I am currently reading How to Read and Why by Harold Bloom. And in this book, he states that literary critics practice their art in order to make what is implicit in a book explicit. And that phrase struck me. It's really quite simple, but it neatly captures the whole enterprise of criticism and interpretation. And if I may extend Bloom's claim, it captures a great deal of teaching as well. I've been reading The Secret Garden with my 5th graders. We're doing a close reading of the book, and so, in addition to the dubious Yorkshire accent I affect in order to enliven the story, not that they know any better, I stop every so often to point out a notable character detail, or to recognize an important plot development, or to underline the thematic relevance of a scene, or to ask if they know what a word means, or simply to revel in some lovely prose. And if you've never read The Secret Garden before, this book is positively littered with beautiful prose. The other day, we'd just finished chapter 11. And in this chapter, Mary Lennox, the sickly and prickly little girl who serves as the protagonist, and who began the book by liking no one and being liked by no one, she experiences a small but significant transformation. She admits that now she likes not 1, not 2, but 5 people. She never imagined she'd like even a single person, let alone 5, and so she names them. There's Martha, and Martha's mother, and Martha's brother, Dickon, and old Ben Weatherstaff, the manor's groundskeeper, and the lovely little bird, a robin, that helped Mary to find her way into what she now calls her secret garden. One of these things is not like the others, right? My students caught on immediately when I pointed it out. The robin isn't a person. And yet Mary counts it among her growing circle of affection. Why? Well, because, of course, the robin isn't merely a bird. In the symbolic world of the novel, the robin represents nature itself, beckoning Mary toward friendship and renewal and healing. The bird is a living signpost pointing the way into the deeper themes of the story, right? So I said to my students, in what I thought was a simple clarification, I said, obviously the bird isn't just a bird. I meant, of course, that the robin functions symbolically, that often in literature, animals and objects and images can carry meanings beyond themselves. But one of my students raised their hand with an earnest question. Is the bird a shapeshifter? Now, yes, this is hilarious, but it's also revealing. In that moment, my student was doing what Bloom describes, trying to make the implicit explicit. They recognized that the robin meant more than itself, and in their imaginative leap, they went straight to the most literal possible explanation. If the bird is more than a bird, maybe it's secretly a person in disguise. Now, this may sound fanciful, but it gave me pause. Because when we teach literature, or when we read closely ourselves, we're not merely uncovering hidden answers, right? We're training ourselves to perceive the layered nature of meaning. A child's guess that the robin is a shapeshifter isn't wrong. It's an early, playful attempt to grapple with symbolism and metaphor, and the way stories invite us to read on multiple levels at once. Good literature is always operating in 2 registers, the surface narrative and the undercurrents of implication. To read well is to navigate both. On the surface, Mary likes 5 people, but implicitly she is acknowledging her first steps toward connection, toward an openness that extends even to the natural world. Without pausing to notice that she counts the robin among the humans, we might miss the subtle work the author is doing here. showing that nature itself has become part of Mary's growing circle of relationships. This is why we slow down and we linger over details. This is why Bloom insists on making the implicit explicit. Without it, we skim over the top of stories and we never descend into the deeper waters where meaning and mystery and transformation live. In a classroom, this practice becomes even more important, I think. Children are natural readers of the implicit. They grasp quickly at patterns. They delight in hidden meanings. They leap, sometimes wildly, to make connections. But they also need some guidance, right? They need to be taught not only that texts contain more than meets the eye, but that drawing those meanings out is itself a joyful and serious part of reading. So I stop and I point and I highlight and I underline and I ask questions. Questions like, why does Mary like the robin? Why does she attribute to him personhood? What might the author be trying to say about nature or about friendship or about healing? In these small acts, I'm not telling them what to think. I'm helping to train their eyes to see what's already there, just waiting beneath the surface. And if they occasionally leap to wildly fantastical ideas, so much the better. Those leaps can help us, the adults, to remember that imagination is the engine of interpretation. Even the most perceptive critic is still, in their heart of hearts, just a child asking, is the bird more than just a bird? When Bloom talks about making the implicit explicit, he's not only talking about symbolism or metaphor. He's pointing us toward the very reason we return to books again and again. Reading well demands that we become translators of implication, that we take what is quietly lurking in the shadowy background of a text and bring it forward into the light of thought and discussion. This is also why books endure, right? The Secret Garden isn't simply a charming story about a little girl who discovers a locked patch of earth. It's a book about awakening and the healing of the body and the spirit. It's about the ways in which life reasserts itself against grief and decay and despair. None of that is written baldly across the page. It's there in implication. In the robin, in the ivy-covered door, in Mary's laughter when she begins to look less sour-faced, in the stubborn roots forcing themselves through the soil. So yes, the robin is a bird, but no, the robin is not just a bird. Reading well requires us to hold these two truths at once. Good literature will always ask us to perceive both the literal, the explicit, and the figurative, the implicit. My students question, is the bird a shapeshifter? It's funny because it literalizes the metaphor, but it also demonstrates that the work of making the implicit explicit begins in wonder. It begins in the quiet willingness to ask questions, to stretch our imaginations, to assume that there's more to the story than what is first apparent. And that's what makes reading not solely an academic exercise, but a profoundly human one. We are creatures who positively crave meaning. We look at a bird in a garden, and we suspect that on some level, it might be more than just a bird. And the magic of literature is that it rewards that suspicion. So look closer and wonder more. Thank you for watching.